Alright, everyone. Um, quick note. It's 9:20. I gotta get out of here at 10:10. But I thought at least attempt a part one to this episode. The title is Evolutionary Obligations Towards Universalism. And in the subtitle, I've written, in the future, we will live multiple lives simultaneously. The reason I want to speak about this is because I think this is one of the most important ideas, and perhaps the next couple hundred years we're going to be occupied with more multidimensional ways of living than singular dimension of a life. Anyways, I guess I'll start here by trying to sit properly. Honestly, I would say that I'm a person who I have found myself to have noticed the uncommon as much as I have noticed the common. The nature of human intelligence is that it is looking for the edge of its world. I personally believe every human being who is alive right now, it's as if our daily task as human beings even is to enhance or expand or journey beyond the world we have witnessed so far. I think a lot of human depression is the speed of change and the type of change that happens in reality. For human beings, I would say there's two types of major change. Okay, there is unconscious change and conscious change. Unconscious change is like, somebody sleeping and waking up and seeing, like, somebody as a prank has put like markings on their face. This has never happened to me, but I'm saying, like, I've seen an example of this. That would be an example of unconscious change. While the person was in unconsciousness, something happened. Even, let's say somebody didn't get enough sleep, they woke up, it's as if we get a sense of unconscious change. Now, when it comes to conscious change, I'm not saying this as if, like, I am the most ultimate, person who can consciously change. I'm saying it in the sense that there are certain things where our mind is engaged with, and then the moment happens. And then there's, I guess, certain moments where before our mind has engaged, change is happening. Really what it is that, human beings have a relationship with gods, with, like, let's say, transcendental archetypes and whatnot. But in actuality, everybody's relationship with reality is how they are moving through reality. In some talks of mine, I point to that it's as if we are walking our lives, or we are walking in life. What I'm trying to say is that we are energetic moments that go forth. This is it. I have tried. I have been, my attention through all these years I've been alive, it's like, spiritual ideas have come, or let me say it this way, materialistic ideas have come to, in some sense, become my truth. Immaterialistic ideas have come to become my truth. But the fascinating thing is that in all these years of life, as long as there is an unknown, the knowledge won't be enough. What I'm trying to say is that an experiencer holds a mystery that the experienced cannot satisfy. Pretty much the way I see it, is that forget every personality that every person's brain is simulating for themselves, and for a moment look at how it's an unknown movement, and really it's an unknown reaction. When you go look at life, you see it's as if like human beings are endowed with another dimension of perception that allows them to be compassionate and patient. But when you look at lesser species, their instincts cause them to have a sort of reactive wilderness. What this means is that, let's say one human being can be rude to another human being, and that human being is going to be like, I don't have time for this, and that human being moves along, right? But when you look at nature, when one animal fights with another animal, it's a sort of territorial war for their life forces. So what I'm trying to say is that the more we unconsciously live, the more instinct an animal moves intelligence, you know. The more consciously we live life, it's as if another dimension finds itself to be the administrator. Anyways, what I mean by multiple lives in the future, I mean right now there's a single biological body, and people are considering, I got a mind, so people are considering one mind, one body. What's going to happen is probably we're going to experience multiple bodyhood in our inner realms. This is different than a person imagining a different body to themselves. This is more like, you know, let's say a group of 10 people connecting their brains to like cyberspace, and so each of their consciousness can experience all the other bodies. Another example, sorry guys, I'm sneezing over here, and I think there's an allergy. Anyways, to continue regardless of nasal interference. What I'm trying to say is that there's going to be, it's like where this energy that is moving in a singular direction, it's going to move in multiple ways to itself at the same time. For a person, let's say, who's a multidimensionalist or a spiritual person, a spiritual person, their acknowledgement of self is starting prior to the self being born. That's true spirituality. Spirituality is not ceremonial, synchronicity. Spirituality is really what you are before you do anything. And when I think about the dimensions of life in my own school of thought, this is something I am actually fascinated I could design. And so I designed this system. Pretty much I'm making this bold claim that I have found a way to categorize every conceptual possibility in reality. To me, every person on the planet falls into one of these four categories, but it's different for people, I pretty much, I've written about this, but here I'll tell you like this. The idea is, I've coined it as the ring of the absent heaven. And so to me, all reality is the play of four types of dimensions. One dimension is the zero dimension, which is in some sense absence in space. So when a person comes into terms with the truths of space, and recognize that the possibility of emptiness is the absence of reality. So in some sense there's the zero dimension. Nihilists would in a strange way fall into the zero dimension. But let's say you are a solipsist and you think that you are the creator of your own world, of all the true world you see. There is the zero dimension, one dimension, two dimension, three dimension. The zero dimension reality is empty. The one dimension reality is one intelligent event. The dualistic dimension is in some sense reality is a dance between chaos and order. And then we go to what I put the infinity symbol. I call this the infinite dimension. And in the infinite dimension is a dynamic edgeless state. Not many human beings actually enter the state on this planet. Sometimes athletes that have such huge ambitions to train reach it, or musicians who are trying to, surpass the limits of what has been heard. What I'm trying to tell you is that any person falls into these categories, any human being, okay? There are some people who I would say they are voidists. Buddhists are in a weird ways, and Buddhism is like they are voidists. Through emptiness, they realize the nature of reality. Then we have people who are singularians. These are all any person you've ever seen who reality has been a sort of living oneness. Religious people fall into this category. Religious people actually are, their attention on the ultimate reality is a singular inconceivability. That means I'll coin the term, there is such a thing called as an inconceivable singularity. Something happening on such a vast scale that it's not conceivable to the human mind. It's like somebody trying to measure, or like an endless river, or someone trying to measure the sky. It's as if it's a task that is in the fictitious realm only possible. My main idea, and here I'll make this quick, I don't have that much time actually. I'll say this. Actually, I have 20 minutes, so I'll say this. The evolutionary obligations towards universalism is the implication, and I'm just one person saying this on this planet, in this universe with countless galaxies and stars, that we have to start acting as universal beings. Not galactic beings, not just human beings, not as just, meaningless beings. We must begin to discover and accept that we cannot avoid being a part of this universe. There's a quote I remember hearing from Swami Krishnananda. This is one of the most profound things I've heard in this lifetime. And it's Swami Krishnananda's, how would I tell you? It's Swami Krishnananda's advice for when meditation needs to stop. People think they have to meditate their whole life. Wrong. Meditation stops. When does meditation stop? Swami Krishnananda says meditation stops when one realizes the inseparability between the individual activity and the cosmic activity. This is another way of saying when you realize as above, so below experientially, when you realize there is no such thing as a universe and there is no such thing as a human being actually existentially. What I'm trying to say is that what is a person is a whole universe happening, okay? We separate it. We say that the edge of our skin is the edge of our body. But is the edge of our body the edge of our being? When a person realizes that their idea of self is dependent on the world, and the world is dependent on the self, and as one looks at the position of consciousness being a sort of open window where the mystery of reality is looking through, you see the nature of the human mind ever since being an individual is to in some sense start having a relationship with the powers of the realm. So many people are like this, you know. When I think about why have we been surviving, is it for us to realize life is empty? You know, why is there evolution? Are we evolving towards in emptiness? Or is evolution meaningless if it's all one intelligent event? If there is chaos and order, what is the purpose of, change? And if it's an infinite realm, what is the purpose of infinity? People don't wonder about this. We don't realize how much of the meaning of our life is biased towards our mortality. You know, this is a strange thing, but it's as if a person can't know they are truly mortal until they have a view on immortality. This is something a lot of people don't even think about. I think it's too soon in 2022 for the species to begin wondering about immortality. But if a person does wonder about immortality, they're going to realize anything that is conditional and one's attachment to anything that is conditional inevitably leads to suffering. But if a person experiences the moment as the unconditional, there is no suffering. 4.5 billion years of evolution, an incredibly long time of things just happening, and through, the coincidence or the uniqueness of how circumstances worked out in history, it's as if it is not survival of the fittest animal. And it is not even the survival of the fittest human being or civilized being. It is the survival of the universally aware. I am not telling people something so bizarre. What I'm saying is that, in this lifetime, for a moment, wonder, what if you are being where the universe is being and where truth is being? People don't wonder about this. People think that spirituality is just somebody telling you cooler ideas, and then it's as if you've had you ate your Mentos and it's all good, But I'm telling you, the nature of reality is an unknown mystery. Everybody starts in their own world and then steps out into the outer world, then wonders about the meaning of the outer world in relation to the inner world, then realizes the inner world is where free will happens, and then the person realizes the outer world is where the will of the world happens, and in some sense the simultaneity of both senses of will, the simultaneity of the body projecting the mind and the mind consciously feeling it's a free will that's projecting the body. The simultaneity of everything to the recognition that energy is timeless. It's as if we say human beings can be created or destroyed. But when you talk about energy, it's like energy can't be created or destroyed. It just changes form to form. Now imagine energy is consciousness. Consciousness is like living energy. This would be the atheistic spirituality. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, and if the truth of our eyes is the center of that energy, all that the human being requires to do is remember the original state, the original self. There's no greater teaching than Sagan. Our eyes have opened in a void filled with known and unknown variables. Every day passes by, and so the person engages the system to entertain. I would say that if humanity was an army, I treat myself as a person who's on the front lines as cavalry. Let me tell you why. Because for me, reality's success is about the speed of decision making. If 8 billion people start behaving as universal beings, in some sense the universal experience is being prioritized over the planetary experience or galactic experience, we will have world peace instantly. It's kind of like the saints' reward upon realizing that once you forgive hell, then you require to forgive heaven. And when you forgive the heavens, then you become released from administrative archetypes. You know, it's as if God is real, but it is real in the mind. And it's like sometimes I see people say, hey man, imagination isn't real, what are you saying? And I'm like, every invention on this planet was born in imagination. People don't realize it is so much of a higher value action to build a bridge between one's inner realms towards the outer realms. If one waits for the outer realms to build a bridge into the inner realms, it is impossible. The civilization we're experiencing right now is not advanced. An advanced civilization is literally, let me tell you how an advanced civilization happens, as somebody who in his inner realms has fathomed various viewpoints of how civilizations can advance. You see, first things first, you know, think of it this way. You know, in like ancient military tactics, they say that you need to cut the head of the snake. Even Sun Tzu talks about this when he says that if there are two generals fighting with each other, in the art of war, Sun Tzu says this. If there's two generals, let's say there's a general with an army, and there's another general with an army, and if these two generals are fighting, the first general who can make the other general lose contact with his army, then that general wins, you see. So anyways, just have this analogy that the head of the snake is important in regards to the movement of the whole body. Now imagine the civilization we're in now. This civilization is like a headless snake. We are the headless snake. This is the best thing I can say. This is honestly what it is. Our civilization right now, civilization 1.0, it is a civilization that doesn't feel it deserves a greater one. This is the biggest failure of the modern era. You see, people are so entranced by sensation that they rather function in temporary balance in a messed up system rather than trying to evolve the system. And people will say, Mr. Within, you think it's easy changing the world? And I'll be like, it's easy if you start in the inner realms. You know, I have sometimes thought, is my karmic blessed, or is it, unblessed? And I realized that for me, my karma has given me the privilege to experience various moments in this life where I am not a humanized self. That means this might be one of the strangest things a podcaster can say on YouTube, but I feel I have found contentment with so many various dehumanized states that there is no longer a concept of death for me. It's like it's abstract. Death has become, in some sense, like the acceptance that of the unknown. You know, I don't know how to say this, but to me, if we were to be honest, people say be honest. You know, people say live honestly, but people don't know what that means. To live honestly means that the context of the world is valid, but because it is so unknown and multidimensional, the system we're living in, we can never know about its true validity. What is really here is the unknown looking at the known. End of spiritualism. This is when you evolve as a human being or as a sort of energetic expression into an advanced energetic expression. When your context of reality seeks the ultimate freedom. You see, some people want to be free in the world and some people want to live in a free world. There's a difference. Those people who want to be free in the world, you have forgotten that behind your mind, the whole species is your result. You know, people think their success is individual. It's fucking stupid. You know, it's the stupidest thing to ever think. You know, success is, in some sense, it is when the species wakes up. That is the greatest success. And wakes up to what? To the advanced possibility. That means anybody, this is within strategy to bring forth greater dimensions into your life. In any moment that you're in, just wonder what would the most advanced version of the moment be. I am telling you, if you think like this, you will be fascinated how much of imagination is dependent on your intent. This is really what makes a person, your intentions on this planet. I have met people who their intentions has been poetically like a demon in the shadows. I have met people who their intentions have been like an angel in the light, you know. But I will tell you, the nature of reality is that we have no idea what we can create as a species. And the possibility is remarkable. You know, at the edge of time, in the mystery of empty space, a species opened its eyes just to see that however hard it tries, it can never see itself. This is true multidimensionalism, ladies and gentlemen. When you release duality from your mind and then come to a state where it's poetically René Descartes' skepticism, but in the inner realms. Like René Descartes' legendary skepticism. Like René Descartes was this dude who was like, I'm going to doubt everything to see what is left, and that's true. And he doubted everything to come to the realization that the doubter cannot be doubted. It's as if in the search for truth, we reach a certain point where, because the experience is beyond language, it goes beyond conceptual analysis. Sorry guys, I was checking something. I've got like 10 more minutes. You know, I don't know really how much my voice deserves to be heard. But for years now, I feel that the only option left after one completes their inner, like imagine there's 3 dimensions of an inner life. You experience an inner earth, you experience an inner heaven, and you experience an inner hell. And really the order is that you experience an inner earth, then you experience an inner hell, then you experience an inner heaven. This is Civilization 1.0 state. But anyways, after in your individual life, you have surpassed hell, you have surpassed earth, and you have surpassed heaven. You return to the heaven, seeking the heaven, hell, and earth of your collective life. The strange advantage, tactical advantage that our species historically has at this point is to realize we have experienced the collective hell and we have experienced the collective earth. Now the only thing that is left is the effort towards the collective paradise. And that is really the intent of, I would say, my being. You know, some people, they think that they're their body, they think they're their mind, they think they're some storyline, but I'll tell you, for me, what I think I am is an energetic intent. I feel like I am a sort of antenna where in this moment the signal I receive has an intent behind it. That intent behind it goes towards the universal. So the moment we can create the world in our minds is the moment we became universal beings. Dear listeners, you are the future researchers, explorers, and advancement hunters. I am telling you, the futurists, all those people who are futurists on this planet, it's like your role in history is more divine than any Sagan. Enlightenment is not about a child playing in a sandbox. You know, it's about that child realizing there's more than the sandbox. You know, I will tell you currently, in 2022, people don't realize it, and even institutions and political systems don't realize it. But there is a war on time going on. Our view on time suggests our inner expectations on how we change. In 1984, George Orwell talks about ignorance is bliss. And this is why they say, like, you know, in certain literature, ancient literature, that the fool enters paradise first. Why? Because the fool has not cared to see beyond its limit. You know, it's like somebody saying, does it make sense for a rare species after 4.5 billion years of evolution on this planet to constantly repeat what its ancestors did, or should the lifetime be complete innovation over again? I am telling you, the world is still thinking it has freedom, or if it doesn't have freedom. Like, do you understand? 2022 is so behind. People are fighting over truth, not realizing it. We gotta earn truth. It's not about earning money, even though that's a major game to play. But I'm saying, like, it's about attending the great gathering of universal events. Our species has to, at some point, like I'm right now, I'm in the, like, you know, sitting on the bench compared to what the future generations are going to go through. The children of the future are going to be so fascinating, we don't realize it. They're going to be sharper and sharper. What this means is that there's going to be very advanced human beings in the future who are in some sense in a very advanced way trying to fight with technology to keep it at bay. Do you know? This is the nature of reality. There's an observable universe, there's an unobservable universe. In the unobservable universe, for human beings, we can give any percentage, really. We can consider what we see to be the smallest percentage of the unobservable, or we can consider the unobservable to be the smallest percentage of the observable universe. But I'll say that it's like, because we are an unknown dynamic force, no snapshot photo of a concept can capture it like property. You know, I have realized that the world has been occupied by stories of perfection. I have realized that people think by doing nothing we're doing the greatest contribution, but I will tell you that's a mistake. The issue with Civilization 1.0, if somebody says, hey, Mr. Within, if past centuries civilizations were there, the character of human beings was way more pure, what's up with now and like the future, and I'll tell you, this is really what's happening. Due to the ability to perceive another dimension other than physical nature, man is being pulled by the fascination of the possibility of his mind integrated with technology. That means forget about the argument of is technology something that should integrate with human life, and it's as if the answer is that let's say whether it was good or bad, it's something that just happened. The reaction of the human being would be in some sense the preservance of not just the biological life, not just the cyber life, you know, not just like an experiential life, not just an energetic life. But in some sense, after running around in samsara like a bewildered beast, the human being, or the advanced being, really what the advanced being does is try to attain what in Vedic thought is called Turiya. This is one of the most important concepts on this planet. Turiya is known as the fourth state. The three major states are conscious waking state, dream state, and deep sleep. In deep sleep, there is no self. Nobody has problems in deep sleep. Nobody is unenlightened in deep sleep, you know. You have dream states, which is pretty much an inner life and body that, regardless of how your body's just in the bed. And you have your conscious waking state, which is the start of the simulation of characterhood in the world. Now, beyond these three states, there's a fourth state, and this fourth state is known as Turiya. This is Universalism. To the Turiya state in Vedic thought equals Universalism. And I feel that evolution will walk that way. If we want to see the greatest possible effort of human beings in this universal sector, we must find inner peace and outer peace to be the same moment everywhere. This is the beginning of universalism. And in the future, the human beings will go on, I'm sure. Our species has enough style and, ability to do this, that in the future, regardless of children being lost in cyberspace realities, as if somebody is on a lost soul on a lost planet, it's like the future generations will feel And because that incident will happen, it is something that it has nothing to, let me tell you this, it's like when technologies clash like titans, mistakes, macro mistakes are shared with the people, you know. You see, the issue is that our bodies are trying to behave civilized, but our minds should surpass any form. It's as if we have one lifetime not to just meet the world, not to meet others, just but to meet ourselves. This is like in mystical thought, the fascination for this is a human being trying to discover their true nature before samsara resimilates. You know, it's as if like, you know what it is? It's like somebody, imagine like there's a basketball game, and then there's some guy who's talking beside the basketball game about what life is outside of like, you know, the basketball court, right? It's what I'm trying to say is that the greatest human beings are those that dared advance into the beyond, into the unknown. The unknown, think of it this way, right now we're a known self in an unknown world. When you realize that yourself is also as unknown as the world, then in some sense the ideas on self become unnecessary. So you'll suddenly, it's as if the brain is an antenna, the antenna would shift. You know, it's as if through truth recalibrates one, regardless of regardless of any sort of condition. What I'm trying to say is that, who was it? I think, let me find this quote. It's from Thich Nhat Hanh. Okay, I can't find the exact quote from Thich Nhat Hanh, but I'll read this before I go. Jesus Christ. Thich Nhat Hanh says, "Let us fill our hearts with our own compassion towards ourselves and towards all living beings." Pretty much the quote I wanted to find from him, he says something like, "With one conscious breath, you can enter paradise." That is my honest recommendation to every human being. Do not let the fear from any story make you go astray from wondering about what is the most ultimate and advanced view. That is true knowledge. There's nothing to know other than the unknown and its true nature. Once this is achieved on a universal level, it's as if like, how would I say it? Sometimes victory is the instant you change your attitude. You know, people think it's like we gotta do a lot of physical things to bring world peace. It's an attitude shift. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening, and I'll end it here. Much blessings and lights. Or actually, I'll say this last thing. Why it's an obligation towards universalism. What else can a creature do? After we're done exploring Earth and done exploring the galaxy, the universe remains. Universalism is an inevitable destination. So if we behave like universal beings, it's as if we are ahead of our time. And regardless of how many lives in the future people live simultaneously, you know, it's like the person's like, oh my god, I had to deal with a spiritual life this whole time. Now I have a cyber life? Like, you kidding me? It's like another life. You know, and that is when we truly realize the power of our presence before our personality demanded something from it. This is your true nature. Thanks for listening. Much blessings and the best.